I'm Saphutic, and this is a numerology forecast. I almost forgot what I said. It's a numerology forecast for 2026. I have been studying, teaching, learning, doing readings with numerology for over 30 years. I started with Pythagorean numerology, and when I discovered these yogic teachings, I started studying Ayurvedic numerology. And I just wanted to give a quick review. I do writing on my emails, but sometimes I think it's nice to have more of a video review. I think I reveal maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more elaborate. I'm going to review 2025 because it was quite a year, and also, it's not really linear, so we kind of move from 2025, 2026. And we're still going to feel some of that frequency, that 9-7 frequency, into the new 2026. The second reason I say this is because the 9 cycle, whether you're in a 9-year, whether you're in a 9-month, that always lasts longer. It lasts about a quarter to a third longer than a normal numerological year. So if it was a monthly cycle, that 9, if you would say I'm in a 9-month, that cycle would last probably like 2.5 to 3 weeks into the next month. Simultaneously, you would be experiencing the next monthly frequency. So the 9 was I think most of you know, it was about endings. That's what you hear mostly on the internet, right? Like endings and beginnings and completion. Completed a lot of karmic cycles. I know astrologically there were a lot of cycles within the planets that got completed. The Kali Yuga, the 2,000 years of darkness was completed, and so maybe personally you had some endings and completions as well. I like to talk about the 9 in the yogic scriptures. It gives it a little bit more depth. 9 in the yogic scriptures is what they would reference as the subtle body, the psychic body, the kind of reading of the energy that is unseen. So many situations, perhaps even relationships, were some of the hidden qualities that maybe you didn't see before became revealed, whether that was outright with someone saying something, or a situation happened, or you picked it up from the unseen. This year, many of you might have had extra psychic qualities, meaning you're able to read the energy and what is coming through someone else's auric field subconsciously, and by observing their behavior and some of the things that they say, like reading between the lines, you were able to determine the truth. And sometimes discovering that truth, unveiling those truths, have been disturbing. Maybe you didn't see it before, but it is a gift. I always believe it's a gift, no matter how painful or how attached we were to something or some person. The truth, as they say, always sets you free. So there was quite a bit of that, probably every single month. You were like, oh, now I'm seeing this. And we had a 7, the number 7, as an influencer number for 2025. And that is the number of taking space, the number of going inside, the number where the tide is out. And we really needed that this year. We needed to be able to process, to understand what was the truth, and then more importantly, what is your truth in regards to what has been revealed. And the 7 is in the Pythagorean numerology, is kind of the mystical number, the number of spiritual awakening. So when we kind of discovered and kind of dissolved some of the illusions that were being presented to us last year, it sets you free. And hence there is the possibility for deeper spiritual awakening, for feeling free, for actually becoming more whole. So it was kind of a very, what I would call, polarized year, meaning I like to share this because meaning there were times or days, say perhaps, that you felt very connected to everything. Maybe you felt very at peace, very loving, very very good in general, like more than perhaps you ever have before. And then literally the next day you could wake up with fear, insecurity, and feel like you're going, I call it, on the edge of madness. And then that could last for maybe a day, and then you'd be back to the connected feeling. So it was very polarized that way. And that was just due to all the energy downloads on the planet. I mean, we went from, say, keeping our house, if our house, say, was being lit with a 100-watt bulb, it is now lit with a 200-watt bulb. And in that, you're like, oh, I didn't see that shadow in the corner. I didn't see the little thing. And we had to clean it up, integrate it, process it, and decide what we are going to let go of and what we are going to keep moving forward. And it was kind of an exhausting process. The other thing that happened too, I like to share, is that it was a bit challenging to move forward, challenging to hold a vision, to try to move forward. Where in the past and even this year and maybe even right now, it's clarity. It's like, oh, like I can walk forward with no problem and start to create what I want to experience here for the next day, for the next year, for the next whatever time I'm on Earth. But last year it felt really blocked. It was really interesting because I wasn't really able to hold, I personally, and then others, like that was kind of, I felt part of the cosmic curriculum as all those truths, as I just shared with you, became revealed. And then we had that 7, we had to go inside, and I say being divinely quarantined, or maybe you did it on your own choice, where you're like, I need to go and process. I need to say no to some of the external things I've been involved in, and just spend some time doing self-care. And when, if, like for myself, for instance, I try to move something forward, it often was blocked. It often was not the right time. There was always something. And I had to just surrender. My theme last year was definitely about surrendering and letting go, to just being present with what is right here in front of me. And I think that was the gift, to learn to not only discern my truth, to strengthen my truth, to strengthen my own inner being, and also to be present. Because divinity, your connection to source, your higher self, whatever you're calling it, really operates in the present. When you hear the guidance and creativity, life happens in the present, in the now, not while we're worrying about the future or trying to get something from the future, and not when we're like ruminating about the past. Now that sounds, I'm always like, that sounds easier said than done, but it was a big opportunity last year to just be present with all of it, present for the really big wow, the really big heart connection, the really big love, and also present for the kind of the darkness that had to be alchemized, that we experienced as well. So I wanted to review that because, like I said, this 9-7 year frequency is going to continue into 2026 until probably about March, April, and I think it kind of really coincides with the planets. I know the planets, so many of the planets, I'm sure that if you're listening to this, you probably are tuned into the astrology, that they are going to find their new home in their new cycle, in their new sign. Kind of all of them finally kind of do that at the, I think, end of spring, early summer. So by that time, we should be really cooking with this new 10-8 frequency and actualizing the kind of building on it. So more than actualizing, I'm using actually too many times. To build on the new frequencies as we've let so much go. Okay, so that being said, we're going to move on to the 10-8 frequency of 2026. So the universe, these are universal year frequencies, just so you know. You also have a personal year, and that may have a different effect on how you are expressing or working with the universal frequency. So 10, we keep whole in the yogic numerology. So it's different than a 1. Yes, it is a time of new beginnings, absolutely. But the 10 has a different set of characteristics, a different set of, it's just bigger, actually. It's just a very big, bold number. It takes, 10 is big. It likes courage. It likes a big stage. It's just a big energy. And how in the scriptures they say that it's called the radiant body. So the radiant body is when all of your chakras are aligned and you're connected to source and you're grounded in time and space, and the beam of energy, it kind of comes through you. Okay, and that beam kind of leads you to right where you want to manifest. The 10 is very magnetic, so it's attracting many opportunities, people to you. So again, there's less efforting because you're more aligned in your being, and you've cleared so much. If you did your work last year, you've cleared a lot. So I already feel like the energy, like just organically pushing me forward. Like I don't really have to do anything. I just have to focus and be aligned and start creating. And in this energy field, it's much less dense. Okay, so the manifestation can happen very, very quickly, and sometimes almost instantly because you're aligned. So what do I mean by that? We have an 8 as an influencing number with that 10, so it's like a very dynamic, very powerful, very creative, and it's like I was like read that, a bold time. Okay, so I think a lot of us know and like the 8. It's about prosperity. It's about abundance. It's about manifestation. So the manifestation is really about alignment. And so I want to say that because there's a lot of manifestation talk and about, visualizing and putting it out there and writing the things down and doing all this work about it. And yet a lot of those tools, I'm not saying they're bad, they definitely worked in denser frequency, meaning I'm a little bit old. So I've been on the planet for 60 years. So when I was younger, it was to manifest, and like we would visualize, and we would have to really like kind of effort to put things out in time and space to manifest things, because the energy field on the planet was denser, the consciousness was denser, there wasn't as much frequency, so it took this kind of more efforting, took this kind of work. Like the work was just seemed like it was a little bit harder, you had to have some fire to do it. But now the consciousness is evolving. The younger ones are coming in with their DNA already aligned to this frequency. They're already like seeing through so many things that many of us, including myself, took me a long time to see through. So a long time meaning to learn about and grow in that consciousness. So because when I mentioned about all the frequency that was downloaded on the planet last year, the energy field is I'm going to say more refined, which is a 9 frequency. The energy field, is less dense, so we can manifest with less effort. Actually, we just have to align to what it is that we desire, because if we desire it, we trust that it exists. And it's kind of like tuning to the radio frequency. We just want to tune ourselves to that and feel our wholeness within that, and then allow the universe to work its magic. So it sounds really easy. It sounds really great. And it is really great. And it can be really actually easy. And sometimes for some of us, that might be hard to believe, especially if we were like, no, we have to work and do all this to receive what we want. There's a lot of drama. It makes gives us a lot to do. But the reality is now it's not really that reality anymore. The reality, because we are creating, and I think we're recognizing even more that we actually create a reality. And so the more we come into our own truth, the more we come into our own wholeness, the more connected we are, right? Then the easier it is to align ourselves with what we want, or what we want to experience, I should say, and then become that. And I was doing a talk a couple days ago for Rama and I was sharing about all about this, and my example was essentially that not we kind of put ourselves into the frequency of what it is we want to experience, but actually I'm going to suggest even further putting it 6 months from when you experience what it is that you want to receive or experience. So say if you want to experience or manifest, trying to get away from that word, a relationship, and you're single and you want to manifest your divine partner, whatever it is, you need to see yourself 6 months down the road, where actually it becomes normal, right? Where it's not the emotional high, or we're not in the honeymoon phase, or those kinds of things that make the frequency more charged. It's a more neutral frequency where you've been with each other, you're the day-to-day is really normal, and those thoughts and feelings are actually hey, you know what I mean? What do you what? Maybe I'll text, maybe I'll text my partner and see if they want to watch this Netflix show later tonight, or, maybe I'll have him pick me up something. I need to text him, remind me to text him to pick up milk, before he comes home from work, right? Those kind of normal things, because the people, and even yourself, when you receive what you needed, or say I needed to manifest a place to live, or car, or whatever it is that you need, or a job in your life, once you had it, you weren't thinking about that anymore, right? You weren't thinking about getting it. You were just in your life with it. It was more normal. It was, could be satisfying or not satisfying, but it becomes normalized. And so that's kind of the frequency that we want to kind of tap into yourself, just to give you some extra assistance with that. Because when you can do that, then you're okay, cool, I'm going to trust in the universe. I'm trusting in it, right? I'm going to trust that what I'm desiring, I'm going to put it out there. They already know. and I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to go about my day. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm not going to like worry about it, right? Because it's all the worry and the drama that starts to, right, create fear, create insecurity, create like separation from what it is that you're saying that you want. That's where we want to clear, right? So that we can just be in alignment and we're not having all this quackity quack or all this like how it's supposed to be or when it's supposed to be or why it's supposed to be, all of those things, right? We're like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. This is what it would feel like 6 months from now that I've received it. And we're already in this kind of timeline, right? And that's the place that I want to focus. Whenever I want to focus on that, I just kind of adjust my dial and I'm like, oh, it's already here. And like, how would I be? How does it feel? Okay, I think you got that. I think you got it. So, so manifesting in this way, there's much more flow, right? So just like when we're connected, I shared with you the radiant body, there's like a flow. And that universe, like you have a destiny. You have a Dharmic path. You have like the things that you are meant to experience on this planet, to learn and to grow with, right? And when you're more connected that way, the universe can help guide you. And it's really a deeper layer of trust. Trusting in that guidance, trusting in that beam of energy and that flow to guide you in a way that's going to be for your highest self, right? And sometimes we don't always see it. You know, we block it, or because we have our own desire, we have our own limited thinking of how it's supposed to happen, right? Who's supposed to show up and be my partner, and what do they look like, and how much money do they make, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it's not bad or wrong to have an idea of what's going to work for you and what you need. And then you just want to let it go, though. It's kind of like letting go of the control and trusting, you know, that the universe often delivers you something better than what you want. It just may not look like it. It's never really comes in my timeline. I mean, it has, I have to be honest, it has. But it's going to come in the timeline and in the timing that just going to come in its own divine time. That's all I can say, right? And the more I'm aligned, the more I'm listening, often the faster it can come. But just because it doesn't come fast and because some things take longer doesn't mean it's bad or wrong either. We just want to kind of stay out of the bad and wrong. And you know, and that's like a big thing that hopefully people are getting more and more on a deeper level. That they're not wrong, that if they're not experiencing what I'm experiencing, they're wrong, or they have to strive and struggle to get there, and then everything's going to be fine. It's like, no, presence. That was last year, like presence. Everything is right here, all of it. The full spectrum, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the amazing, the magical, like all things are here, all realms, and we have the capacity to experience them all. And we also have the capacity to choose. And that was a big part of the learning and gift, was like, I got to see more of what I was caught into as more was revealed. And then I was like, oh, I can have my feelings around it. My feelings pass. And then I say, okay, how do I want to handle it now? Do I want to let it go? Do I want to have a bigger boundary? Do I want to do this? What do I want to do? Because I have my choice. I am responsible. I am capable. I am accountable for myself. And that sense of sovereignty is going to be a really big theme next year. It's a big theme of the 10. 10 is sovereign. 10 is sovereign. Meaning I trust myself and my guidance. So 10 is the archetype of the king, the queen, and the warrior. So in all of those archetypes, they surrender to higher will. Right? They're always surrendering to higher will. And that isn't always easy, but it's entirely possible. So I'm going to leave you with that to ruminate about that. If you're listening and you have questions for me, please email me, and I will put my email on the YouTube, Sat, pronounced sat@sunier.com, and I am a Vedakara numerology, that's what I call it. I do charts. I do 22 calculation charts. I do 11 calculation charts. I also teach breath work. I teach Kundalini work. I do spiritual counseling. So I have many, a big gong. I do sound baths. So I do many things. And, but reach out to me. Let me know, and I want to know your experience, because it's exciting for me to know your experience. It's exciting for me to have you share it with me, and so that we feel more connected and more aligned, I want to say. We feel more aligned. We feel more in unity consciousness. So, which is the highest octave of a 9 frequency, unity consciousness and universal love. We have had tastes of that this year. We're going to get more of that next year, but we're not going to worry about it. Not 2026, 2027, but we're just going to focus on 2026 and what's in front of us today. So that is my forecast. Have a wonderful, wonderful new year, and I hope to hear from you in the new year. Okay, Satnam.